January 1945, 11:23 in the morning, Ardennes Forest, Belgium. The MG42 opens fire. The sound is unmistakable. 1,200 rounds per minute, 20 bullets every second. The Germans call it Hitler's Säge, Hitler's saw. The Americans call it something else, the fabric ripper, because that's exactly what it sounds like. Someone tearing heavy canvas at high speed. The fire sweeps across the clearing like a scythe. Soldiers from Company F, 307th Infantry Regiment, 77th Infantry Division, drop into the snow. Some die instantly. Others scream, wounded. Most hit the ground and pray. The MG42 is inside a camouflaged bunker, 40 meters ahead, fortified position, logs, packed earth, sandbags. The machine gun aperture is 12 inches wide. Impossible to shoot into, impossible to flank. The surrounding forest is mined. 70 American soldiers are trapped. They can't advance, they can't retreat. The MG42's fire covers every meter of open ground. The math is simple. If nobody does something, everybody dies. Joe Gandara is lying in the snow, 23 years old, 5'9", 150 pounds, private, no special rank, no hero training. He looks at his pinned-down comrades, looks at the bunker, looks at the single grenade hanging from his belt, and makes a decision. He stands up, starts walking toward the MG42, directly into the line of fire. What happens in the next 40 seconds will save 70 American lives. It will cost one, and it will earn Joe Gandara the posthumous Medal of Honor for one of the most brutally simple acts of World War II. All because somebody had to solve the MG42 problem. Joseph Martinez Gandara was born August 29, 1921, San Bernardino, California. Mexican-American family, rural workers. Father was a cement factory laborer. Mother was a seamstress. 4 siblings. Small house in an immigrant neighborhood. The Great Depression still hasn't ended when Gandara finishes high school in 1939. Chuckin' are scarce. College is impossible. He works where he can. Seasonal harvest, construction, hard work that pays little. December 1941. Pearl Harbor. America enters the war. The draft expands. Gandara doesn't wait to be called. He enlists voluntarily. January 1942. 20 years old. It's not cinematic patriotism. It's pragmatism. The Army pays. The Army feeds. The Army offers a future that San Bernardino doesn't. Basic training happens at Fort Ord, California. 13 weeks. March. Shoot. Obey. Gandara is good at the basics. Doesn't stand out. Doesn't cause trouble, does what he's told. He's assigned to infantry. Infantry always needs more men. Infantry is where most die. 77th Infantry Division, Statue of Liberty Division. Activated in 1942. Training at Camp Pickett, Virginia, then Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Exhausting combat exercises, forced marches, battle simulations. The 77th ships to the Pacific in March 1944. Destination, Guam. Then Leyte in the Philippines. Jungle combat, heat, humidity, tropical diseases, entrenched Japanese who fight to the death. Gandara sees his first combat in Guam. July 1944. Banzai charges. Japanese soldiers charging with bayonets, screaming, willing to die. Most do. It's close violence, brutal, personal. You see the face of the man trying to kill you. Gandara survives. Many don't. The 77th suffers 1,744 casualties in Guam. Dead, wounded, missing. October 1944. The 77th is pulled from the Pacific. New orders. Europe. The war in the Pacific can wait. Germany cannot. The 77th Division crosses the Atlantic. Arrival in France. November 1944. The Western Front is chaos. After the success of D-Day and the liberation of Paris, the Allied advance has stalled. Supply lines are stretched. Winter is coming. The Germans are regrouping. Gandara and the 77th are assigned to the Ardennes sector, the forest covering southern Belgium and Luxembourg. Rugged terrain, dense hills, limited visibility. This sector has been considered quiet. Green troops are sent here to gain experience. Exhausted veterans come here to rest. Nobody expects the Germans to attack through the Ardennes. The terrain is too difficult for a large-scale offensive. Everybody is wrong. December 16, 1944, 5:30 in the morning. German artillery opens fire along 80 miles of the Ardennes front. 1,900 guns, Nebelwerfer rockets, heavy mortars. The bombardment lasts 90 minutes. Then come the tanks. 3 German armies, 410,000 men, 1,400 tanks and armored vehicles. The largest German offensive since 1940. Hitler's plan is insane but almost works. Split the Allied armies, capture the port of Antwerp, force the British and Americans to negotiate a separate peace. For the Americans, it's a nightmare. The offensive hits thinly held sectors manned by green troops and exhausted veterans pulled off the line to rest. Entire divisions crumble, thousands surrender. The German advance creates a bulge 50 miles deep in Allied lines. The Battle of the Bulge, the largest battle the American army will fight in World War II. 89,000 American casualties before it's over. The weather is as deadly as the Germans. Winter of 1944 to 45 in the Ardennes, one of the most brutal on record. Temperatures drop to -4 Fahrenheit. Snow reaches 3 feet deep. Dense fog reduces visibility to 50 meters. Soldiers freeze to death in their foxholes. Feet freeze inside boots. Fingers freeze on triggers. Weapons jam. Tank engines won't start. Wounded left in the field freeze in minutes. The Americans don't have adequate winter clothing. Logistics can't keep up. Men fight in standard field uniforms. Some improvise with blankets. Others take coats from dead Germans. Food freezes. Water freezes, blood freezes, and the Germans keep attacking. The MG42, Maschinengewehr 42, machine gun 42. Designed by Mauser. First production in 1942. Technical specifications: weight 25 pounds, length 4 feet, caliber 7.92 by 57 mm Mauser. Rate of fire 1,200 rounds per minute. Effective range 1,000 meters. Feed system: ammunition belt. Operating system: short recoil, rotating bolt. The MG42 is the most lethal machine gun of World War II. Rate of fire so high that human ears can't distinguish individual shots, just continuous noise, like tearing fabric. The American M1919 machine gun fires 400 to 600 rounds per minute. The British Bren, 500 rounds per minute. The MG42, double that. What does this mean in practice? An MG42 can cover 600 feet of frontage with suppressive fire. A single weapon can stop an entire platoon. 2 gunners service the weapon. One feeds the belt. The other fires. Barrel change takes 6 seconds when it overheats. In a fortified defensive position, the MG42 is nearly impossible to neutralize without artillery or tanks. And in the Ardennes forest in January 1945, Company F has neither artillery nor tanks. They have M1 Garand rifles, some Thompson submachine guns, hand grenades, and a German bunker with an MG42 that's keeping them pinned to the ground. January 1945. The American counteroffensive, the German offensive in the Ardennes, has been broken. Bastogne held. Patton arrived with the Third Army. Weather improved enough for air operations. Now the Germans are retreating, but they're not running. They're fighting for every meter of ground, leaving rear guards, traps, fortified positions to slow the American advance. The 77th Division advances through the Ardennes, village by village, hill by hill. The Germans blow bridges, mine roads, leave snipers in church towers. Company F is clearing a forested area near the Belgian-German border. The order is simple: advance, eliminate enemy resistance, secure the forest. But Ardennes. Forests aren't open fields. They're dense pines, visibility of 100 feet maximum, snow-covered hills, deep ravines. Every tree line can hide a German position. Every ravine can have a trench. Every camouflaged bunker can have an MG42. 11:15 in the morning. Company F emerges from a forested area into a clearing, 40 meters wide, snow knee-deep. On the other side, more trees. The captain up front raises his hand. Pause. He's looking at the forest on the other side. Something is wrong. Too quiet. Too calm. He picks up binoculars. That's when the MG42 opens fire. The first soldier falls before the sound registers. The MG42's rate of fire is so fast you see impact before you hear the shot. Blood explodes from his chest. He drops in the snow, dead before he hits the ground. Then the sound arrives. Everyone hits the deck. Survival instinct. The snow offers zero cover, but psychologically making yourself small seems right. The MG42's fire sweeps the clearing in arcs. Left to right to left, methodical, professional. More men are hit. Some die, others scream, wounded in the chest, stomach, legs. The Americans try to shoot back. Useless. They can't see the bunker. It's perfectly camouflaged. Branches, snow, painted tarp. The only visible thing is the small opening where fire emerges. Someone yells, "Fall back! Fall back!" There's no falling back. The clearing they just crossed is now a kill zone. The MG42 has angled to cover both, front and rear. They're trapped. Joe Gandara is lying behind a fallen log, snow on his face, heart pounding. frozen breath in the air. He looks around, counts mentally. 15 men dead or wounded. Maybe more, hard to tell. The rest are pinned. Someone tries to run. The MG42 catches him in 3 steps. He staggers, falls, doesn't move. Gandara looks at the bunker. 40 meters. Might as well be 400. Might as well be 4,000. The distance seems impossible. He knows what will happen. The MG42 will keep firing. Eventually it'll hit everyone. Or the Germans will call reinforcements. Either way, Company F is finished. Someone needs to neutralize that machine gun. Someone needs to reach that bunker. Someone needs to put a grenade inside. Gandara looks at the grenade on his belt. Mark II, standard American hand grenade. Cast iron body with grooves. 2 ounces of TNT explosive. Lethal radius, 15 feet. Wound radius, 50 feet. Fuse of 4 to 5 seconds after pulling the pin. 1 grenade. 1 bunker. 40 meters. Gandara isn't a movie hero. He doesn't have an elaborate plan. He's not thinking about glory or medals. He's thinking, somebody has to do something, and he's somebody. Gandara stands up. Just stands up. The soldiers around him are horrified. Someone yells, "Get down! Get down!" The MG42 pivots. The German gunner sees movement, adjusts. Gandara starts walking, doesn't run, walks, deliberate steps, snow knee-deep. Every step is effort. Bullets pass by him, not metaphor, literally. 7.92mm bullets pass within inches of his head, his chest, his shoulders. 1,200 rounds per minute, 20 bullets per second. Statistically, Joe Gandara should be dead in 2 seconds. He walks for 15. Nobody knows why. There's no tactical explanation, no military logic. Maybe the German gunner is so surprised by someone walking directly at him that his brain doesn't process. Maybe distance deceives. Range. Maybe snow affects bullet trajectory. Maybe it's luck. Pure, brutal, impossible luck. Gandara covers 40 meters under direct machine gun fire. He reaches the bunker. The Germans inside must be in total panic. An American just walked across the clearing. Their MG42 didn't stop him, and now he's at their bunker wall. Gandara pulls the grenade pin. Fuse active. 4 seconds. He locates the machine gun aperture. 12 inches wide, 5 feet off the ground. He shoves the grenade through the opening. Doesn't throw, doesn't toss. Shoves. Places it inside the bunker with his hand, then throws himself sideways. The explosion is muffled. Different sound than a grenade in open air. Contained. The bunker acts like a speaker box. The explosion reverberates inside the log and sandbag walls, but the effect is devastating. 2 ounces of TNT detonating inside a 10 by 10 foot space. The pressure wave, the metal fragments, the wood splinters becoming secondary projectiles. The Germans inside the bunker die instantly. The MG42 stops. Silence. Then screaming. Americans yelling. Standing up. Running forward. Some run to the bunker. Others to the wounded. Combat medics emerge. Start working. Someone yells, "Gandara! Where's Gandara?" He's on the ground, next to the bunker. At first they think he's just lying down, resting, covered in snow. Then they see the blood. 1 7.92mm bullet. Through the chest, left side. Probably hit on the last step. Inches before reaching the bunker. Or right after throwing the grenade. Doesn't matter when exactly. Joe Gandara is dead. The medical officer confirms. Private Joseph M. Gandara. Service number 398-37897. Killed in action. They cover him with a tarp. There's no time for more. Company F needs to keep advancing. The war doesn't stop for one man. His body is evacuated behind the lines. Processed. Identified. Prepared for burial. 3 soldiers witness what happened. They write reports. Describe how Gandara stood up alone, walked 40 meters under machine gun fire, destroyed the bunker, saved the company. The captain submits a recommendation for the Medal of Honor. The recommendation goes up through channels. Battalion Commander, Regiment Commander, Division Commander, General Bradley, General Eisenhower. Nobody questions it. What Joe Gandara did admits no debate. There's no ambiguity, no interpretation needed. 1 man, 1 grenade, 1 impossible enemy. Position: 70 lives saved. July 30th, 1945. The White House. The war in Europe ended in May. The war in the Pacific will end in August, after Hiroshima and Nagasaki. President Harry Truman holds a decoration ceremony. 28 medals of honor, many posthumous. Joe Gandara's mother is present. Maria Gandara, 52 years old, black dress, tired face. She receives the medal on behalf of her son. The citation is read aloud. Private Joseph M. Gandara distinguished himself by conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity above and beyond the call of duty. When his company was pinned down by intense machine gun fire from a fortified enemy bunker, Private Gandara, on his own initiative and with utter disregard for his personal safety, advanced alone directly toward the enemy position under heavy fire. Reaching the bunker, he destroyed the enemy position with a hand grenade, eliminating the machine gun and its crew, thereby enabling his company to continue its advance. The citation doesn't mention the 40 meters walked under 1,200 rounds per minute fire, the statistical impossibility of surviving, the moment he shoved the grenade through the opening, the fact he died seconds later. Medal citations are always incomplete. Maria Gandara returns to San Bernardino. The medal stays in a box. She shows it to close friends, to family, but doesn't display it. She lost a son. A medal doesn't bring him back. Joe Gandara was temporarily buried in an American military cemetery in Belgium. After the war, the government offers families two options: repatriate the body to the U.S. or leave it buried in an American cemetery in Europe. The Gandara family chooses repatriation. In 1948, Joe Gandara's remains returned to California. He's buried at San Fernando Mission Cemetery, Los Angeles, California. Simple headstone, name, dates, rank, Medal of Honor, no statue, no elaborate monument, just a stone in a row of stones. Most people have never heard of Joe Gandara. They know Audie Murphy, the most decorated soldier of World War II, 28 medals, Hollywood acting career. They know Alvin York, World War I hero, movie starring Gary Cooper. They don't know Joe Gandara, the Mexican-American soldier from San Bernardino who solved the MG42 problem with a grenade. Why? Because Joe Gandara didn't write a book, didn't give lectures, didn't become a celebrity. He was dead, and his family didn't turn his sacrifice into public spectacle. They mourned privately, dignified, like most families who lost sons in war. But here's what Joe Gandara's story tells us. War doesn't favor the big, doesn't favor the well-trained, doesn't favor those with elaborate plans. War favors those who do what needs to be done when it needs to be done. In January 1945, a German MG42 kept 70 Americans pinned in a clearing in the Ardennes. The obvious tactical solution was impossible. There was no artillery, no tanks, no air support, no flanking. The only solution was someone walking 40 meters under direct machine gun fire and putting a grenade inside that bunker. This isn't military tactics, it's suicide mathematics. Joe Gandara knew that. Everyone knew that. He stood up anyway, not because he was stupid, not because he was reckless, not because he wanted to die, because if he didn't, everyone would. That's the definition of courage. It's not absence of fear. It's doing what's necessary despite the fear, despite the math, despite logic saying you're going to die. There's a scene in the movie Saving Private Ryan everyone remembers. Omaha Beach. Chaos. Death. Soldiers paralyzed behind obstacles on the beach, while German machine guns massacre them. A captain yells, "You want to live forever?" And one man stands up, runs, probably dies, but runs, and then another stands, and another, and another. This isn't Hollywood. Joe Gandara did exactly this, in real life. No dramatic music, no slow motion, no Tom Hanks, just snow, cold, terror, and the impossible math of 1,200 bullets per minute. San Bernardino, California. A small elementary school was named after Joe Gandara, Joseph M. Gandara Elementary School. Most children studying there don't know who Joe Gandara was. Teachers occasionally mention he was a war hero, won the Medal of Honor, but details are lost. The full story isn't told, because it's uncomfortable, because it's violent, because it involves a 23-year-old walking to his death. But maybe it should be told. Not to glorify war. War shouldn't be glorified, but to remember that freedom has a cost, that someone paid, that it wasn't generals in war rooms or politicians in capitals. It was Joes, privates, sons of immigrants, small-town kids who never asked to be heroes. The MG42 that killed Joe Gandara was probably destroyed by the Americans. Standard procedure. Captured enemy equipment is catalogued or destroyed to prevent reuse. Today, MG42s exist in museums. Collectors pay thousands of dollars for specimens, deactivated weapons, war relics. But none of them are special. None have a plaque saying, "This machine gun was silenced by Joe Gandara in January 1945. Because machine guns aren't special, men like Joe Gandara are. Here's the hardest truth about war heroes. Most die. There are no happy endings, no golden retirements, no emotional speeches decades later. They perform the heroic act, save lives, and die. Joe Gandara had 15 seconds of absolute courage, 40 meters of defied impossibility, and then it was over. He was 23 years old, never married, never had children, never saw Germany surrender, never saw VE Day, never returned to San Bernardino. All he had was that clearing, that MG42, that grenade, and the choice to stand up when everyone else was down. Years later, a Company F veteran was interviewed, now old, white hair, trembling, hands. The interviewer asked, "Do you remember Joe Gandara?" The veteran was quiet for a long time, then said, "I remember every man who died that day, but Gandara, I see him every time I close my eyes, walking, just walking, like he was going to the store, like bullets didn't exist. I don't know if he was brave or crazy, maybe both, but he saved my life, saved all of us, and I never got to thank him." That's Joe Gandara's story. It's not complicated. There's no twist, no surprise. A German MG42 stopped his unit. He solved it with a grenade. It cost him his life. It saved 70 others. Simple math, impossible heroism. And that's why 80 years later, we need to tell this story. Not to glorify war, not to romanticize death, but to remember that when the impossible becomes necessary, some people just do it. They don't ask why, don't calculate odds, don't wait for orders. They stand up, they walk, they act, and they change everything. Joe Gandara died in a frozen forest in Belgium, far from home, far from family, first buried in foreign soil. But 70 men went home, saw their families, lived their lives, had children who had children. Hundreds of people exist today because Joe Gandara stood up that day in January 1945. That's the math that matters. Not 1,200 bullets per minute, not 40 meters under fire, not statistical survival chances. One life given, many lives saved, and a medal of honor that will never be enough. But it's all. We have to say thank you, Joe. We remember.